I have seen with my own eyes what lies on the horizon. Maker, help us all.
What the hell is even that?
It's boring, it's bland, it's basic, it's predictable, it's dull. Several times I just walk away from my computer like, F it, I'll do something else. I can't be bothered doing this crap. The only way that you can enjoy this is if you shut off your brain completely. Not asking questions, not looking under the surface, don't look behind the curtain, zero critical thinking skills. That's the target audience for this shit. I am not the target audience for this. I'm sorry, I could rant about this for like 12 billion years, and I might just keep this. I'm planning on doing a review. If you're probably watching the review right now, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm probably going to put this rant in the review, despite the fact that it's spur of the moment and not at all f***ing scripted, purely because it's just emotionally honest. This game sucks. I will try. Future me will try to articulate this in a manner that is not too negative. But don't listen to him. Don't listen to future me, ladies and gentlemen. Don't listen to me. Because in the moment, I am telling you, this is one of the worst RPGs that I have ever f***ing played. Don't buy it. Don't even f***ing pirate it. Don't do anything. Don't go anywhere near this piece of shit. I don't care what I say in the review after this fact, okay? I don't f***ing care how I articulated or how I presented you in a fashion that sounds more coherent than my rambling. I don't care. This sucks. This is boring. This is terrible writing. This is terrible dialogue choices. This is the illusion of choice to a degree that I have rarely experienced in the video game industry. This is dog shit. I would not have made it an hour into this game if I wasn't playing it for the channel, ladies and gentlemen. You're fucking welcome. I am suffering for you motherfuckers right now.
Look how they massacred my boy.
This war is far from over.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where to start with this video. I speak to you now as a man who recently went through what I can only describe as one of the worst gaming experiences in recent memory. I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. I don't do sugarcoating on this channel. I will give you my honest, blunt, and often insulting opinion to those of you who are easily insulted. But I will give you the truth. And the truth is, this is the worst RPG that I have ever played. This is not an RPG. Scratch that from the record. It's not. At all. In any definition of the word whatsoever. I'm busy.
Not the time, Solus.
Do you truly wish to rebuff an offer of assistance?
Yes, purely to see what happens.
What kind of assistance?
I don't even get to say yes, it automatically answers for me. There's just no way out of the goddamn maze, and no matter what you do, no matter what direction you go, you always end up with this cutscene. I can't tell. I wouldn't put it past this game to give you no choice whatsoever, to the point where even if you went the correct way that it clearly wanted to lead you down, you would still end up with this exact cutscene and exactly this happening. In fact, where was the last save? So yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what way you go during the maze at all. There is no correct way out. You can't take the correct path to get out by yourself without Solus helping you. You basically just get Solus to help you. You have no choice. This is on rails. The entire thing is on rails. It is, at its best, an average, mediocre action-adventure game with a linear and boring story, with largely bland companions, all masquerading and identifying as a Dragon Age game.
What does that mean?
Non-binary. I just said.
And at its worst, dear viewer, this is an insult. The game is an insult. A slap in the face to every single fan of the original games. Darkspawn in great numbers have been spotted near the ruins of Ostagar. Grey Wardens have guarded against the evils of the Blight, keeping Darkspawn in check and the deep roads clear as possible, when the first Warden called them all back to Icehopt. And now that absence may well be permanent. Already I hear reports of Orzammar under siege, the Darkspawn advancing to its very gates, erasing all the gains that the Wardens and the Dwarves made together. This game is basically making it canon that the first Warden had the power to move entire armies and orders from all across Thedas, which would take, like, months and months of journey. It doesn't make any goddamn sense, but all the Wardens are dead. Well done. This is insinuating that they're not even anywhere else in Thedas. They're all dead. Much of Denerim has been consumed. Already, the Darkspawn have reclaimed Redcliffe, and the shores of Lake Calenhad rife with the Blight's corruption. Our land sickens and dies, and I fear that whoever amongst Ferelden's people live through this relentless assault will starve to death instead. A cruel fate for those who have already been through so much. So even if we win the war, everyone in Ferelden is going to die. Everywhere in Ferelden has fallen, and all of the wardens have just magically teleported to Weishaupt and didn't put up any kind of resistance. As if the Ferelden wardens would just up and leave. Whoever wrote this shit fucking hates Origins, or has never played it and has no fucking clue what the hell the Grey Wardens even are. But it's really no coincidence that the Grey Wardens have been treated like shit in every single game, and now they've got their wish. The Grey Wardens are gone. They have been wiped from the map entirely, along with all of Ferelden. Dragon Age Veilguard, which from now on I will just call Veilguard because frankly it's not a Dragon Age game, by any stretch or definition of the imagination. If you think that this is a Dragon Age game, you are absolutely fucking delusional. And I am not remotely sorry if that hurts your little feelings.
Why am I never enough for you?
Because at the end of the day, it is abundantly clear to me that BioWare, or more accurately, the activists that are currently left working at BioWare, since all of the actual talent has left over the last 10 years, intended for this game to be a complete reboot of the series. They have effectively destroyed all previously established lore. The archdemons are dead. The Grey Wardens are no longer needed. Ferelden is in ruins. Denerim is gone. Orzammar has fallen. The entire south and all of Ferelden is a smoking pile of ash. Everything that you knew, loved, or cared about in the Dragon Age franchise no longer matters. None of your choices mattered. Everything you did in Origins, everything you did in 2, and more or less everything that you did in Dragon Age Inquisition is rendered completely and absolutely mute. None of your choices mattered, ladies and gentlemen, which is fitting, because in Veilguard, none of your choices matter. Because modern-day BioWare seems to be of the strange persuasion that an RPG doesn't require choices, or dialogue options of any meaningful significance. Just to use Weishaupt and the Grey Wardens as an example, ladies and gentlemen, since BioWare hate them, there is absolutely nothing you can do, no matter what choices you make, or how many side quests you accomplish, or whatever the hell you do, there is no feasible possible existence where you can save the Wardens. Weishaupt will fall. There is nothing you can do. No choice you make makes any difference. If you punch the first Warden in the face and take command, you kill the Archdemon and wound the god, and the first Warden dies. If you talk to the first Warden and he agrees with you, you kill the Archdemon, wound the god, and the first Warden dies. This is a theme that repeats itself throughout the course of the entire game. None of your choices matter, everything is predetermined, it's a story on rails. A linear story, one that's already been pre-decided. You're just along for the ride.
Can't say I didn't try.
Listen to Rook. That's an order. An order.
And that is Veilguard's first and massive nail in its coffin. Because I am not exaggerating when I tell you that every single dialogue choice that you make in the entire game is absolutely meaningless and all equates to the choice of yes, yes please, or okay.
Explain yourself, Warden.
Sure, I disobeyed orders. I acted on my own choices without authority. I admit it. But I took an oath to defend people.
No, that's not the response I wanted at all. Of course, sir. Yes, I wanted to be, like, show obedience. Like, he outranks me. I'm in the military order. All of my options are just fuck you, and fuck you, to differing degrees of I'm right, you're wrong. Warden's bad. Me smart. Me new recruit. Me big brain. Me save people.
You will be taken to Weishaupt and placed under heavy guard.
Oh, fun fact here, ladies and gentlemen. The first Warden apparently tries to arrest you regardless of if you're a Warden or not. I thought that this was a unique dialogue tied to being a Warden, but nope. Apparently he tries to arrest you even if you're other backgrounds. I haven't confirmed this, but I'm assuming it's true because that definitely sounds like something this game would do. It is extremely lazy. It is one of the laziest excuses for an RPG that I've ever fucking seen. It genuinely may as well completely remove the option for you to pick dialogue. There's no point. It makes no difference. This character, Rook, is not yours to control, ladies and gentlemen. It's not your character, it's BioWare's character. And BioWare has decided that your character is an extremely good person, always morally correct, can basically never be wrong, and is friends with essentially everybody. You'll recruit who they tell you to recruit. You'll be nice to who they tell you to be nice. You'll do what they tell you to do, because you have no other option. Every single dialogue option leads to exactly the same outcome every single time. The only time that your choices, air quotes, actually have any kind of effect on the story is at the very end of the game, in the final missions, which basically is a result of whether or not you have acquired the necessary arbitrary number of points that are acquired by completing side objectives, which are all boiled down to essentially fetch quests, with very little to no dialogue, obviously no choices, and it's basically impossible to fail them. Make no mistake, the vast majority of all the side content is essentially busy work. But hey, you don't actually have to do any of that to get faction points. You can just get faction points by selling your trash items to a faction vendor, and very easily maxing out all of the faction points just by selling shit to them. Don't ask me how that works, it apparently just does. In essence, it's honestly basically a copy and pasted system taken over from Mass Effect 3 with the War Against the Reapers. Same exact principle, the difference being Mass Effect actually had good and bad outcomes for side quests. Veilguard doesn't. Essentially, the average side quest consists of accept quest, go to objective, finish objective, return to hand in quest, receive points. So it's basically a watered down system stolen from Mass Effect. Not actually the only thing taken from Mass Effect. There are loyalty missions for each of your companions. Essentially, if you don't finish the loyalty mission for X companion, that companion is probably going to die. This is exactly what they did in Mass Effect. Me, personally, I wanted all of my companions to die. Which brings us to the companion section of this video, ladies and gentlemen. The backbone, some would say, of every RPG is the characters that you meet along the way. I hated all of mine, to various degrees. I mean, one or two of them were okay, I didn't mind them, but none of them stood out, and most of them were extremely annoying. The writing and dialogue for these characters are just so bad and cringe a lot of the time that it's really hard to like any of them.
Do you like being a woman?
Nobody likes being a woman.
Especially the bad ones. In the end, I purposely gave my companions the worst jobs that they were least qualified for in the final mission. Yeah, he's dead. Ha!
Come on. We need to push forward.
Yes! People are dropping like flies. Excellent. Excellent. Which is basically a copy and paste from Mass Effect 2 when you go to the collector base at the very end. Assigning squad mates to certain tasks, which they may or may not be qualified for, may get them killed. This system isn't inherently bad, if you care about the companions. Mass Effect 2, I cared about the companions, I had some form of connection with them, I liked more or less all of them. Veilguard? By the end of Veilguard, I was rooting for the Elven Gods to win, so... If this is the state of Thedas, we all deserve to die. I hope that the elves win. I hope that there is a failure state where we lose so hard that the elves just fucking win. At this point, it would be merciful to put it out of its goddamn fucking misery. Just let the world burn. I'm done. I'm done. This fanfiction has gone on for long enough. This is the most excited I've been for the entire fucking game. Just the prospect that it might soon be over. Genuinely, the most excited I've been throughout this entire fucking game is the prospect of it being finished so that I never have to play it ever again.
There are things I would have of you, Rook.
Whatever you ask of me, my lord. Command me and I shall be.
Draw closer. You will learn what they are.
Yes, my lord, as you command.
Elganon again.
Try.
Silence, elf! Our lord and savior has ordered us to go closer. Please rid this world of BioWare, my lord. Strike it down with your righteous elven fury.
What failure cuts your conscience now, I wonder?
I don't care, Solus.
Your friend is dead.
I don't care.
Regret, like all emotions.
But I'd love to see Solus' reaction when I genuinely don't fucking care. He'd just be like, oh.
We're never ready to make the sacrifices that leadership requires.
I am entirely ready. What do you want me to do, Solus? Let go of the statues? I'll let go of the statues. I don't fucking care. This was a perfect opportunity. Okay, this is Solus' plan to make me so regretful that the prison would hold me instead of him, which is a hell of a gamble for assuming that I would care about the people. But if I haven't done any of their companion quests, then clearly I don't care about any of these people that have died. So there should be a dialogue choice to let go of those statues that were dragging me down, and then Solus' plan fails, because I don't care, and I don't have regrets. Your plan makes no sense, Solus, because I don't give a shit. What's the mystical way out gonna be? Oh, bullshit. Are we gonna have some giant fade prison therapy session where I talk to the ghosts of all my dead members and have to accept responsibility and move on from the feeling. Oh, fuck yourself. I'm gonna get some food. I'm not doing this shit.
In case you were wondering, dear viewer, yes, I was right. We're going to have a giant fade therapy session in order to get out of Solus's prison. And no, there is no way for you to join the elves. No matter what you do, the bad guys die. Yeah, I killed everybody. I got all of them purposely killed.
Die, die, die. Morrigan, do not sacrifice yourself for that bitch. Thank you.
But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, the companions are basically meaningless. And even if you ignore them throughout the entire game, they will act as if they are your best friends. After every single mission, you basically have a group therapy session where everyone talks about their feelings and recaps you on everything that you just did 10 minutes ago. I realized towards the end that in theory I could play through the entire of Veilguard, skipping every single bit of dialogue and just picking random options, and it wouldn't matter because I'd still know what's going on when the therapy session happens and I get recapped everything that just happened 10 minutes ago. Because your dialogue choices matter so little that it literally doesn't matter what button you click on. Because your character is only capable of saying one of 3 different variations of the same fucking sentence. But I will try my best not to repeat myself too many times about how horrible the dialogue and the lack of choice is. I don't promise anything, because it's fucking dreadful, but I will try not to repeat myself too much about that. So, I digress. Moving on, lots to do. Combat is next up on the agenda, and it's not quite as negative as you might expect me to be. After all, I am, now more than ever, an avid defender that Dragon Age 2 wasn't the worst thing that ever existed. The action-packed combat, I believe, wasn't the end of the world. Dragon Age 2 at least had still a degree of tactical gameplay to it, especially if you played on the harder difficulties. Even Inquisition, to a lesser degree than Dragon Age 2, and certainly a much lesser degree than Origins, still had tactical gameplay. Veilguard's combat is, by itself, okay. Some might even find it good. It's ultimately a weird combination, some may say unholy combination, of Hogwarts Legacy, God of War, and Assassin's Creed. And you'd basically be correct, that's pretty much exactly what it is. None of these games are necessarily terrible. Well, Assassin's Creed. God of War and Hogwarts Legacy aren't necessarily terrible, referring to the combat system before you get the pitchforks out. The combat system works for those games. Both of those games I would consider good games. Neither of those games, however, are good Dragon Age games. The combat system in Veilguard is not a good Dragon Age system. BioWare has, for all intents and purposes, completely and absolutely gutted the tactical aspect of Dragon Age. Gone are the days of controlling your party members individually. Gone are the days of the top-down strategy. This is no longer Dragon Age combat. Dragon Age combat always, even to a lessening degree as time went on, maintained Origin's approach to it being a strategic combat system. Veilguard, pulling some kind of unholy crusade to abandon its roots entirely, has dismissed the tactical approach to Dragon Age games almost wholly and completely, leaving you with a combat system which is pretty much a copy and paste of every other generic action game that you've ever played. That may or may not be perfectly fine for some of you, but personally, being originally a fan of Origins, it's not what I expect from a Dragon Age game. I won't call it bad, because I don't think it is objectively bad. I just think it's objectively not Dragon Age, which you'll find is a recurring theme throughout the entire game, honestly. It's just not Dragon Age. Although it is, admittedly, very pretty to look at least the environments, the character models not so much. The environments, however, are exceptionally beautiful. Whoever the hell designed the world itself, and the environments and the backgrounds and all of that, 10 out of 10, you did a great job. Unfortunately, everything in the world sucks, but the world itself is very pretty. This is, sadly and honestly, a recurring theme that seems to pop up quite a lot. Too many games released these days with absolutely dreadful writing and story that ruin the entire game, but it looks really pretty, and some people put a hell of a lot of, very good work into making some incredible pieces of art, but it's ruined because someone takes a leak all over the goddamn canvas. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is basically Veilguard summed up for you, honestly. It's pretty much if you painted the Mona Lisa, but then pissed all over it and smeared it in shit. There's a piece of art somewhere behind all that shit, but I'll be damned, dear viewer. That's a lot of shit. Which, conveniently, brings us onto the topic of character design. Honestly, Dragon Age has always shifted slightly in its art style with every release. But whoever the hell designed the Darkspawn for this must have been smoking something.
The fuck is that supposed to be?
Methalinast. Darkspawn.
That's a darkspawn? That's a darkspawn. Okay.
Ogre! That's an ogre!
Thank God she told me what it was, because it doesn't look like anything I've fucking seen before. And good lord, don't get me started on the character designer. The character designer is so lame. Someone at BioWare hates women. I'm just saying. Someone at BioWare hates women. For an inclusive and progressive company that BioWare is these days, it sure isn't very inclusive for women. So, sorry ladies, if you wanted to make your character look anything like you, and you're not that one body type that it allows, then you're just fucked. You're shit out of luck. Just completely shit out of luck. But if you want scars in places, then they got you covered. But otherwise, nah, you're shit out of luck. And the absolute worst thing is the writing, ladies and gentlemen. It is appallingly bad. Not having any meaningful choices to make is one issue in of itself, but having your writing be so atrociously bad that you not only insult the reader, but also get them rooting for your villains, you've done a poor job, a very, very poor job. Ultimately, Rook is a predetermined character. This is a linear story, make no mistake. This is a entirely linear story, you're going in a straight line. And that straight line could be entertaining, if the story is good. Which it just isn't. It just really isn't. For every puzzle that you'll find in the game, and there's about 5 billion of them, your companions will repeatedly tell you how to finish the puzzle. And after every mission, your companions will gather around a table and recap everything that just happened 10 minutes ago, as if they're talking directly to you. Which reminds me, one of the biggest plot twists in Veilguard, and well, I don't care about spoilers, the game's trash, you shouldn't play it. Basically, at the very beginning of the game, Varric dies. Solus, who is trapped inside of your head, basically, for the entire game, giving you lots of helpful information, like how the archdemons that lead the Blights are just normal dragons and aren't special, makes you hallucinate seeing Varric throughout the entire game. He talks to you as Varric, and conveniently, none of your companions at any point refer to Varric as being dead throughout the entire game. Somehow. When you gather up after every mission to recap the events that literally just happened 10 minutes ago, as if you'd forgotten what the fuck happened, none of your companions, despite the fact that they don't know that Rook is hallucinating Varric, ever accidentally talk over Varric, the guy that they don't know is there. When they're having conversations, they will pause, let the person that doesn't exist speak, and then continue the conversation.
Nice speech, Rook. But it's hard to complete a contract if you don't know where the target is.
And conveniently, at no point does Rook ever directly address Varric as being in the room. So, through a series of convoluted and extremely convenient events, Solus manages to trick you into thinking that Varric is still alive, despite the fact that it's extremely unrealistic, extremely retarded, and basically requires everyone to be in on the joke, but they aren't. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you put a narcissist in charge of your fucking writing department. Whoever wrote this trash thought this sounded really cool and really deep and really clever, and didn't at any point start to pick apart why it's actually pretty fucking stupid. Hell, I could make this work, actually, because this is basically subverting your expectations. You can do this in a good way or a bad way. The good way involves leaving little breadcrumbs that your players or readers can pick up on throughout the story and come to their own conclusions that, wait a minute, something isn't right here. It gives the reader the opportunity to use their brain and come to the conclusions that you've been subtly hinting at throughout the story before it's even properly revealed. The bad way of doing it is no breadcrumbs whatsoever, no way for you to possibly figure this out until the moment that you decide to reveal it and go, haha, I tricked you. One of these approaches is meant to engage the reader and give them the best experience that you can. The other way is meant to purposely trick your reader to make yourself feel smart.
Something goofy and outlandish that you haven't done the foreshadowing for, that you haven't laid the foundation for, just in order to surprise people. I mean, sure, I could have like aliens come down, and that would certainly surprise the hell out of everybody. No one is predicting that, but it would ruin the series. And I think some writers do that, and I think that's always a mistake.
If I was writing this and I was forced to do this little story nugget, I'd essentially have characters talk over Varric on several occasions. Keep it subtle, keep it little, but leave breadcrumbs for the player to think, why do people keep talking over Varric randomly? It's kind of rude, right? And then give your character the option to, after you notice it a few times, scold that companion for talking over Varric, which would then unlock the dialogue option of, Rook, Varric's dead.
This would be a realistic and subtle way to unlock the possibility for the player to actually come to this conclusion by themselves. Because, make it forbid, we have some actual dialogue choices and options that, you know, have a fucking effect on anything. I don't necessarily hate the basic concept of Veilguard's story. The story itself, at least in concept, could have been something really great. Could have. But because its execution is absolutely fucking appalling, it just doesn't work. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the result of the creative process being restricted to a safety bubble that is immune to criticism. Writers who believe themselves above reproach. And this shows with glaring clarity in how Rook is written as a character. Your responses are the most high and mighty, arrogant fucking shit that I've ever seen. Rook is always right. It doesn't matter what dialogue choice you pick. Your character is always right. What they believe is always correct. Authority figures are always wrong. You can't see their side, you can't have a dialogue, you can't come to any conclusion. Your choices are, you must listen to me. I'm always correct. You're wrong. The more I play this game, the more I get to the understanding that any fucking male testosterone has completely left BioWare. It's just gone. It's been outlawed at this fucking point. I'm ranting now, and we've been talking about the writing alone for almost 7 minutes, so I'll wrap this up. I may do an entirely separate video going over the story and the writing and how I'd fix it and do it differently. Because I believe the core concept here had potential, and if it was executed properly, then it could have been something great. But it was executed in just the most atrociously fucking terrible way possible. That it's just, it's terrible. It's fucking dreadful. Some of the worst writing I've ever seen in gaming. This is bad. This is very, very fucking bad. I would rather go play Starfield. That will shock a lot of you that are my usual audience. I would rather play Starfield than I'd play Veilguard. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. Those of you that know me know I have like 20 videos saying that Starfield is shit. This is worse. Veilguard is worse than Starfield. Which leads us, ladies and gentlemen, to the ending of Veilguard, which is the only time in the entire game where your choices, air quotes, I use the term choices very loosely, because these choices is basically summing up to have you done X or Y side quest, which all, in turn, have their own predetermined outcomes. So it's not really your decisions affecting anything, unless you decide to not do the quests. That's probably about the only impactful decision you're going to make in the entire game. So no matter what choices you make, there is one of 4 different outcomes, which is all basically the same outcome. If Solus romanced the Inquisitor in Dragon Age Inquisition, he will go with her into the Fade. If you trick him, he will go into the Fade. If you fight him, he will go into the Fade. And finally, if you didn't do any of the companion missions, then everyone will die and you will go into the Fade with Solus. And good news, ladies and gentlemen, if you think that that sounds a bit fucking lame, well, good news. There is, in fact, a secret ending if you do some arbitrary side quests. You unlock a 1-minute slide at the end of the game that tells you how every single event in Phaedus' history was all the work of this super secret shadow government, basically the jailer from World of Warcraft Shadowlands. Literally, I'm not kidding, it's the jailer from World of Warcraft Shadowlands. They are responsible for everything that's ever happened. They manipulated Loghain into killing Kalen and betraying him at Ostagar. They somehow manipulated Bertram into getting the Red Lyrium idol from fucking Dragon Age 2. They were behind everything with Corypheus. They were behind everything with the elves. They were responsible for everything. It was all part of the super secret plan, and you've been fooled. I point you back to when I was talking about the good and bad ways to subvert your expectations. This is bad. This is terrible. This is some of the worst shit that I've ever seen. It was terrible when Blizzard did it in Shadowlands, and it's terrible now. It's even worse than when Blizzard did this with the Jailer, actually. It's even the worst version of the Jailer, because not only are they attributing everything that has ever happened to this super secret shadow force that was totally always there, but they have undone, purposely, every single fucking choice that you've ever made in the Dragon Age game. No choice that you made in Origins, 2, or Inquisition matters. Everything has been undone. The slate has been wiped clean. Ferelden is a blighted hellhole. Denerim was destroyed. Redcliffe is destroyed. The archdemons are dead, so the Grey Wardens no longer have a purpose, effectively meaning that there is literally no need for Grey Wardens ever again. Orzammar is gone, by the sounds of it, and all progress that the dwarves made in the Deep Roads reclaiming it under King Balin is being completely wiped out. Basically everything you've ever cared about in Dragon Age is gone. My one and only solace in all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is that I managed managed to successfully kill every member of the Veilguard, with the exception of the Griffin, who I am sad about dying, but, well, in death, sacrifice. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will wrap the video up here. I leave you with simply this. The Dragon Age is over. Every 100 years or so, the Chantry changes the name of the age, based on the events of it. And I tell you now that the Dragon Age has come and gone. It is over. The Veil Age is here, or the Woke Age, or the Age of extremely fucking terrible writing. Whatever you want to call it, I don't care. Dragon Age is over. There's no returning from this. Any future titles that are sequels would be stuck with this atrocious lore. Or they do prequels, but frankly, the state of BioWare is never going to change. The company is dead. It's a rotting corpse of its former self. It is blighted, corrupted, lost. And I recommend any of you waiting out for Mass Effect or holding out hope for Mass Effect, stop. Lower your expectations. It's very likely to be a disaster. I would shift your focus instead to the game Exodus, which is currently in development and looks really cool. It looks like a mix between Mass Effect and Warhammer 40k. And, most importantly, it's being developed by guys who used to work on the original Mass Effect and the original Dragon Ages. Admittedly, they're working under a subsidiary of Hasbro, which is kind of mildly concerning, but also then so was Baldur's Gate, so hopefully it'll be fine. At any rate, I suggest checking it out and keep an eye on it. It looks really promising. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will wrap this up here. I thank you all for watching. It's been a long one. I've had a lot to say, and I have a lot more to say. I just don't want to make an hour-long video ranting endlessly about all of this. I'm certain there are those of you that still enjoy this piece of trash, and that's your right to do so. You are entitled to your terrible bad taste. I don't care if you enjoy it. Personally, I have standards, and I'm not going to apologize for them. Most of you also have standards and agree with me, so here we are. Last of them defeated, the final Blight, the worst of Blight. I'm sorry, what, the worst? Unlike the first Blight that lasted for like 2 generations, Veilguard paid the deepest price of victory. Where they'd fallen, the monument was built. Nobody cares. Is that it? That literally it? 3 lines of dialogue? Stopping Solus and the gods cost many lives, including Rook and the team, and the great preparation and time spent with companions and allies, the Veilguard might have survived. I don't want it to survive, but I'm glad it's dead. The Griffin is sad, but everybody else, nah. Fuck them. Is that it, though? That's it? Fucking Christ, that's it? That's literally it? Really? Seriously? That's it. That's it. 3 lines of text. And that's it. Fucking Christ. That's so bad. Oh god, it's so bad. Fucking hell, that's bad. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Dude, like how many years waiting in development and the end of the game just gives you 3 lines of text to wrap up the game? I mean, I'm fine with the everyone's dead part. That's what I wanted, other than the Griffin. But Jesus. The game's over. 3 lines of text. 0 information about, like, what the hell happens afterwards. This game is a complete and absolute fucking travesty. I'm sure there's probably a few more lines. I've checked. I've asked people. There are a few more lines of Epilogue if your companions survive, but it consists of about 1 minute and still tells you pretty much fuck all. We're not seeing another Dragon Age. It's not happening. And honestly, thank you. I don't want any more. I don't want any more. I don't trust BioWare to touch this IP. They don't deserve to touch this IP. This is a complete and absolute fucking tragedy of a video game. It's the end of an age, ladies and gentlemen, and frankly, all fans of the original, we need to just accept that this is dead. It's not coming back. It's not going to be fixed. There's no returning from the corner that they have written themselves into, the hole that they have dug. This is deeper than the deep roads. There is no climbing out of here. Dragon Age is over. We had a good run, but let's look to the future and to better games that I'm hoping Larian will make. Check out Exodus if you haven't already. It looks really promising. It's made by the original devs behind Mass Effect and Origins. Kind of looks like the bastard child of Warhammer 40k and Mass Effect. And I believe there's an RPG being made, though I forget the name of it. It's being made by some OG developers from Bethesda. There's the Sky Oblivion mod coming out in 2025, and also the successor to Kingdom Come Deliverance. There's a lot of stuff, and there's even more that I could list, but I don't want to be here forever. The point is, I'm trying to end this on somewhat of a positive outlook. Dragon Age is over, but there's a lot more to look forward to, with a lot better games from much better companies. BioWare
BioWare is not the titan of industry that used to be. It's not the king of RPGs anymore. It's a hollow, rotten, blighted corpse of its former self, held up by EA's strings and puppeted by mentally unstable activists. But, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I will thank you for watching, ask you to subscribe, comment, like, blah blah blah, feed the algorithm. All of the YouTubers tell you this nonsense, I don't have to repeat it every time. That is all for now. Thank you for watching. Soul out.